Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. Today's video, we're going to talk about Aztec culture, some of the different aspects of it. Not going to be super detailed, but we're going to also we also want to compare this to other ancient cultures as well. Similar to what I did in my video on the Mayan culture. So, let's start out with their education. The Aztecs actually were one of the first civilizations to educate all the children. There was required education for all the children, but it wasn't equal education. They had separate educations for boys and girls, and depending on your social status, some of the people in the lower social statuses, didn't get educated until they were like teenagers. And again, you only generally learn the life skills you needed for your current social status. So it wasn't super flexible, but there was some opportunity for really gifted lower class students to come up in some of the nobles classes and maybe kind of change their position in society. So, but they did educate everyone, which is one of the first ancient civilizations to do that. All right, language. So they had a language. They used symbols called glyphs, very similar to hieroglyphics. So similar to what the Mayans had and the Egyptians had. So they had a written language that was similar to those two that they used. Hard work was something that was definitely a big part of it, specifically these things called chinapas. I may be pronouncing that wrong. I practiced it several times. I'm still kind of not sure on that. But what this was basically their capital city was on an island in the middle of the lake. So for the farmland around, they had to take a lot of grasses and leaves and other materials and sort of build up the land underneath the lake. So there was land on top, and do that to have fertile farmland in order to farm. And it was a lot of hard work to make these and maintain them and to plant crops in them. So they had to make little mini islands. So they had these man-made sort of islands where they would farm, and they were called chinapas. And the Aztec, that was part of their culture. Pretty cool thing. Just again, farming is similar to the other civilizations. I think a lot of the hard work, and especially just for the lower class, because then the lower class had to take what they would farm and they'd pay it to their emperor or their ruler in exchange for protection, or they just thought that person was connected to the gods. So their religions seemed to be very similar to other early world religions, along with their social structures. Hot chocolate, they imported the cacao seed. They couldn't actually grow it there, but they would get them imported from outside their civilization, and they would use them and mix up the seeds and stuff with spices, and they were able to make a drink like hot chocolate, which is delicious. So why wouldn't I think that was an important accomplishment? I guess this also became even better once the Europeans came over from Spain and introduced sugar. In addition to smallpox, which is relevant nowadays, right? They introduced a disease that spread over and killed a lot of the Aztecs, but also they had sugar, which made hot chocolate even better. So what do I think is most important? Well, a lot of the information I got from the book called The Aztec Empire by Sunita Apte on TrueFlix. So that's located on TrueFlix to read. Has even more information, much more than I'm going over in this video, so that's a good book to read. The Aztecs had a strict social structure. It was an article I found on News.la, and that really hit what I thought was most important, which was their education. Education was their most important accomplishment or achievement. And that's because everyone was required. All the kids were required. And it would either determine what you knew how to do in your social status, or there was some potential to change your social position. Both of those are similar to the expectations that we have in modern society. And that's why I picked it as the most important.